see outside of the classroom. And I really believe that's because of two things. Money talks, the $10 ticket, and our donors make that possible. And then we've also enticed faculty to bring classes. If a faculty in any of our departments brings a class, they get 2 free tickets for the event. Amazingly, it looks like a gem. And I think that's also helps drive student attendance. I was talking about the 100 tickets, for example, to Broadway shows and the more commercial concerts. James Taylor's probably not a name to this crowd, of the older people. Daniel Tosh. I don't even get it. But anyway, there would be $110 tickets that if you were a student member, which you can purchase for $30, no one else can buy those tickets except the first 100 people that have that membership. And that's a long-term strategic plan to turn our students into donors so that they'll give to the theater department or to art and art history or to the music department. So, Adam, if we can go to the next slide. I think the thing, in addition to the $10 tickets that I'm proud in terms of student opportunities, is we've added 30 student employment positions at Texas Performing Arts since I arrived. I'm very proud of that, and there are costs involved with that, but our donors love the fact not only that we offer a $10 ticket, but that we're providing professional opportunities for students, so that helps drive fundraising. And that's a big jump for us in a time when budgets are going in the other direction. And we also have a couple of other opportunities for students. We have a student support organization. They had a flash mob today. It was a bubble mob, or I'm just showing my ignorance, but it was cool. And then ultimately, if you've been in Bass Hall, there's a donor lounge on the 5th floor, but we're hoping to turn the 6th floor into a place called The Loft, which is a student lounge for student members. It'll be way cooler than the donor lounge. That's the point. And so, what I think the bottom line is that we're really focused for the first time in a way that Texas Performing Arts wasn't on aligning with the most important piece of the academic mission, which is students. And I think, we can't do everything all the time, but we've made progress. And did you stick me in because I have the good news in the middle? Okay. And I'm always open to ideas. We have some financial flexibility at Texas Performing Arts, not to underwrite the whole college, but to do some things, and I'm always open for suggestions.
Thank you, Katie.
Before kind of get into things, I want to give a little bit of an overview of basically what the general kind of budget picture, what particular budget that we're talking about. The previous cuts, I'm glad to talk a little bit in terms of what some methodologies were for dealing with that. We did have, before I get into that, the attrition of one staff member in a county, and attrition was certainly the way that we are trying to deal with things. We also had the same kind of reorganizations that Brent talked about in terms of trying to move people into the situations that didn't impact student services and our educational mission. This is a pie chart that kind of talks about this year. It paves the way for what we'll talk about next year. This account, in terms of our state accounts, is where budget cuts are coming from. All of the budget cuts, 10% have got to come out of one of these pieces of the pie. And I want to kind of go through a little bit with that. Obviously, the hugest chunk of the faculty salaries, 77% of our budget, and so that is, obviously where a lot of our attention has been. Our staff salaries and our faculty is 60, 61 tenure track faculty, 15 or more adjunct faculty. That's what makes up that. Staff salaries in the area of 30 staff, and these are their staff members again are people that not only kind of take care of the business, but also take care of the business that runs our academic mission. We are part and parcel of their educational experience. TAAI salaries, this is an important part of our grad support. And there's an important thing to mention with that. The budget for our TAAI salary is $740,000. It's important to remember that really only about a little over 400,000 of that is funded or stable in terms of its funding from the state. The rest of that is funded through soft money. In the instructional budget, it funds both the TA salaries and also the component that has the adjunct or the lecturers, the non-tenure track faculty. That portion is not funded through hard funding, it's funded through soft funding, meaning that open tenure lines, faculty that are on leave without pay, on research leaves and so on, infill that, and that's what really completes that. In previous years, they are necessary, as I mentioned, The deficit for that has been kind of requested from the college, and the college may do that. That's something that has not been able to happen. Something that, and we're very fortunate, we have a very extraordinarily productive faculty in terms of research, and so we actually have had a number of people that have been on leave without pay because of outside grants or other kind of research opportunities that provided them to take that leave. And so that money has kind of helped because it infills into that and has helped kind of cover us through these kind of tough patches. MO&E, the 1%, those are the rental for our printer machines, our phones, our inks and office supplies, and all the various other things that go into the operational expenses. So this is kind of the pie that we're going to be talking about when we deal with this. Important to point out that, let's go back a little bit, out of this budget, which if you look is probably, I want to get a little over or near $5 million, somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 million. 10% of that, again, to kind of take the 2% that Captain talked about, we'll give you the number that we're dealing with. We're dealing with about $438,958 that we need to cut from our budget. That's what we're looking at. When Kathy mentioned the exit incentive, 3 of those individuals are from our department. Those 3 individuals account for up to, I believe it's 46% of our needed cut. So we're almost 50% to our cut through the exit incentive. That kind of works with that. The scenarios, and there are a number of scenarios that are in play in terms of how to address the remaining balance. Our goal, as Frank said, is to protect people. The idea is to protect people because people are what provides and delivers the academic mission. That's what makes this place work. That's what provides our classes. That's what provides basically the bodies of knowledge that are passed on and created here. So that's kind of the key. So attrition is an important word for us as we're dealing with this. What attrition means is that when someone has made a determination to leave, that money then goes into this, so that we are not moving people or laying people off that do not want to leave and do not have other professional plans or career trajectories that they're choosing. There are several scenarios within, again, that faculty portion of individuals that are weighing their options. And these are options that they've had on the table and have been weighing prior to this budget crisis. So these are not things that the individual faculty have been thinking about as a result of this budget, but they're pre-existing things that are variables that fit into what may, and there are several scenarios where the remainder of our budget cut will come from faculty attrition. So what that would mean is that we are not going and laying people off that do not wish to leave. But it does mean that we have to look at what those faculty were doing and how we kind of fill that in. Thus far, and I'll talk with the 3 that are definite. We have 3 individuals that are taking advantage of the exit incentive. In the interim, because as Kathy said, that money for that line goes into trying to kind of spare the jobs and the academic mission. In the interim, we are going to be filling those classes with non-tenure track people. And there's some excellent people, we have excellent people already lined up for those courses that we're aware of for the fall. These are people that we have worked with before. They're fine faculty people. They're wanting to live the mission. But it does mean that's the primary kind of impact in the short term of those attritions on the faculty. And that the other variables are too unknown right now. Those aren't specifics, obviously, that I can or even appropriate to talk about. So that, in essence, is kind of where we're trying to go with this. Let's see. Another thing that kind of helps with this picture, because we have the idea of obviously the budget cuts, the impact on the curriculum in terms of courses offered, faculty-student ratios, and all those sorts of things. The other big part is the TAAI graduate support. Another one of our priorities is to try to make sure that account is as protected as possible, that as little as possible kind of comes out of that. We have experienced some cuts that are preceded this particular scenario. There were just some mandated cuts that kind of came down previous, and I'll show you that in the next slide. But this account is important not only because it supports our graduate mission, but also as graduate students are an important part of our academic community. They are people that really also are part of delivering the academic mission to undergraduates. Another factor that comes into this, which was not an option by the college, but kind of mandated in terms of how the position of non-tenure track faculty will be defined, or the definition of full-time is redefined. previous to this year, we had paid non-tenure track faculty on a full-time basis for, in our department, 2 courses. That was redefined to full-time of 3 courses, meaning that, in essence, what we had been paying non-tenure track faculty was decreased by a third. Okay, that's another kind of impact. So people that are hired, particularly people that are hired 2009, 10, and after, are being hired at a rate that actually is a third less than those that were hired previously. That is not an immediately negative impact because we were paying our non-tenure track people much higher than our local peers. And since most, not all, but most of your non-tenure track faculty come from a local base, you are competing primarily with those institutions that are in your immediate vicinity. So competitively, we're still okay, but that, drops that down, and it also allows us to protect that fund a little bit more. The TAAI fund and the non-tenure track fund, while different, are they have combined fates in terms of relying on the same hard money and also the same soft money to fund them. If that makes any sense. Let's see, some of the concerns that we'll kind of deal with. I think we're next slide. And these are some of the other program funding. You have some state-funded accounts. These are not state-funded accounts. So these accounts are not impacted by the budget cuts that are going to be mandated by the legislation. But they do give some idea in terms of comparisons from this year to next year, or projected for next year. And these are the dollar amounts fell off, but to give you an idea, really, these are some of the special programs. And most of the special programs are funded in various ways, oftentimes with support from the dean, the provost, and other things. The summer school is one that a lot of you will be interested in. This was the previous budget cuts. As Brant mentioned, one of the areas where we had addressed in terms of previous cuts were the summer schedule. For us, it was a natural place because our demand for summer courses had dropped so dramatically. Even now, the courses we offer, our demand is incredibly low. So I would say that our summer course, with each budget cut, has dropped a little by little by little by little. This, what you see between last year and this year, it comes out to a little under a $40,000 drop, is what that drop from blue to red really amounts to in terms of dollar amounts. We will have a session of summer courses. At this point, because our enrollment is really kind of still in that 550 rather than that 650 undergraduate major level, students are, by and large, able to get their courses during a long semester or take their semester courses elsewhere. We've not really experienced a demand where people are really kind of banging the doors down needing more summer courses. So that's a natural place to kind of cut. Academic equipment, relatively minor cut. We've been fairly fortunate with academic equipment. We've been able to do things that a lot of peer institutions simply can't do with academic equipment. So that drop, which is like 8,000 or something, is, we don't like any drops, but again, that's a drop that we can absorb without significant negative impact on our programs. The TAAI budget that we have here, again, this is a very critical budget for us. And with that, this is very speculative because it varies a lot on soft money. The soft money picture that we don't know because we don't set a deadline for faculty to tell us necessarily when they have a grant or going to be gone. So these are things that kind of come in various times. It's fairly kind of a volatile, unpredictable account until the last minute. So again, that's projected, but that really is what we're looking at. And I think that, in terms of what that would mean, that drop from blue to red is about a $50,000 drop as it is. But that we're anticipating that it's not going to be that bad. Because we are expecting, actually, as we're looking right now, the soft money should fill in and kind of help us out with that. In essence, we do not anticipate any program cuts. There's nothing, no program in our department that we anticipate cutting. I'm kind of feeding off some of the questions that floated around in your email, but fewer open seats. There's not going to be any reduction in open seats. There's not really going to be a drop in classes. We don't anticipate that. There's still a lot of variables in. I can't give you hard promises about that, but that's not the way it's looking right now. Faculty-student ratios, that's not going to change. For the most part, that we have both lecture courses and lab or studio-based courses, and they have very different enrollment profiles that go along with each of those. Our studio-based lab courses are been operating at a 1:15 ratio for the most part. That shouldn't change. There will We're likely to be a change in the faculty-student ratio of non-major studio courses.